Hey, welcome back to the channel. Did you know that a single penny could be worth over $1 million? From a 1909 Lincoln Cent to rare 1940s coins, some pennies are more valuable than gold. Stick around. These tiny coins are making collectors insanely rich. Today we're counting down the top 10 most valuable Lincoln wheat cents. Let's moving on. First up, the 1969 Lincoln Memorial Cent is not just a coin. It is a phenomenon that has reshaped the perception of modern American numismatics. At first glance, one might be tempted to dismiss it as a humble penny, an everyday copper coin that once passed unnoticed through the hands of countless Americans during the turbulent late 1960s. But beneath that modest surface lies a powerful story of minting anomalies, rarity, and collector obsession that has driven its value to astonishing heights. This cent's allure begins with its dramatic doubled die obverse, a minting error so distinct that even those with little experience in coin collecting can see the doubled inscriptions leaping off the coin's surface. The words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and even the date itself, 1969, appear twice, layered upon themselves with ghost-like clarity. Unlike subtle errors that require magnification to confirm, the doubling on this cent is bold, unmistakable, and visually arresting. It transforms an ordinary piece of pocket change into a living demonstration of how human error and mechanical imperfection can, paradoxically, create perfection in the eyes of collectors. To understand its significance, one must first appreciate the cultural and historical backdrop of the coin. In 1969, America was in flux. The country had witnessed the Apollo 11 moon landing, the escalation of the Vietnam War, and the continuation of the civil rights movement. In a year of seismic shifts, the Lincoln Memorial Cent was a quiet constant, with billions produced for circulation. But within those billions, a microscopic handful emerged, carrying this double design, a result of misaligned hubs in the die production process. Most doubled dies from the modern minting era are quickly caught and corrected, but somehow, several examples of the 1969 doubled die slipped into circulation and remained undetected for years. When the first confirmed example surfaced in the early 1970s, they sparked both excitement and skepticism. Counterfeiters had been experimenting with ways to artificially create doubling effects, and many seasoned collectors initially dismissed the 1969 specimens as clever fakes. It wasn't until the U.S. Secret Service became involved, verifying the authenticity and removing known counterfeits from the market, that the numismatic community began to take this coin seriously. From that point forward, its reputation grew, and so did its value. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC began certifying genuine examples, and the coin cemented itself as one of the most iconic double die errors in U.S. coinage history. The rarity is undeniable. Fewer than 100 confirmed specimens exist today, a minuscule figure when compared to the billions of standard 1969 cents struck. The condition of surviving examples varies, but even those with moderate circulation command significant premiums because of the coin's notoriety and scarcity. When pristine mint state examples cross the auction block, the results are nothing short of staggering. Collectors with deep pockets, often competing from across the globe, drive bidding wars that push values into the seven-figure territory. The highest profile sales have seen examples realize valuations exceeding $1.6 million, a breathtaking figure for a coin with a face value of 1 cent. Beyond its monetary worth, the 1969 doubled die cent represents a philosophical ideal within the numismatic world, the possibility that unimaginable treasures still exist in everyday life. For decades, stories have circulated of collectors who found these rarities in pocket change, in bankrolls, or tucked away in family jars of pennies. The coin has become a symbol of hope for enthusiasts who dream of discovering their own hidden gem, a reminder that history and fortune can sometimes align in the smallest of objects. It is not simply a coin, it is a story, an artifact, and a dream all rolled into one copper disc. For the advanced collector, it is a crown jewel, and for the numismatic world, it is a masterpiece of rarity. Next up, the 1944 D Lincoln Wheat Cent belongs to a completely different realm of numismatic wonder. A realm defined not by doubling errors, but by one of the most dramatic wrong planche mistakes in US mint history. To appreciate its place in the pantheon of rare coins, one must first return to the wartime realities of the early 1940s. The United States was fully mobilized for World War II, and every ounce of copper was deemed essential for the war effort. Ammunition, wiring, military equipment, all relied on copper as a critical resource. In response, the mint shifted production of the 1 cent coin in 1943 to a zinc-coated steel composition, temporarily abandoning copper altogether. These steel cents circulated widely, but proved unpopular. They were prone to rusting, easily confused with dimes, and carried a pale, silvery appearance that felt un-American to many. By 1944, with copper from recycled shell casings becoming available, the mint returned to striking cents in their traditional copper alloy composition. Yet amid this massive shift back to copper, a small handful of leftover steel planches from the previous year remained in the coining presses at the Denver Mint as these stray steel planches entered the dies intended for 1944 D copper cents. A minting miracle occurred. The creation of the legendary 1944 D Lincoln Wheat Cent struck on a steel planche. To call this coin rare would be an understatement. Numismatists estimate that fewer than 24 genuine examples exist today, making it one of the most elusive rarities in the entire Lincoln Cent series. The physical characteristics of the coin are unmistakable. Its silver-gray sheen, its magnetic properties, and its stark contrast to the billions of ordinary bronze 1944 D cents that filled circulation. These attributes, combined with its confirmed origin as a transitional error, elevate it far above the status of a mere oddity. It is a centerpiece of American minting history, a physical artifact that captures the industrial pressures of wartime production and the unyielding march of history. Collectors who encounter the 1944 D steel cent often describe it as a holy grail, a coin that transcends collecting and becomes a tangible connection to America's World War II home front. Each surviving specimen is carefully documented, graded, and preserved, with high-grade examples achieving a kind of mythic status. Their market performance reflects their rarity. When offered at major auctions, these coins generate extraordinary bidding wars. Prices have soared into the hundreds of thousands, with one specimen famously achieving $800,000. A staggering figure for a coin that was never intended to exist in the first place. The appeal of the 1944 D steel cent is layered. It is part minting blunder, part wartime relic, and part numismatic legend. It appeals to historians who see it as a physical reminder of wartime sacrifice, to collectors who crave rarity above all else, and to investors who recognize the stability of ultra-rare tangible assets. Unlike many rarities, its story is easily explained and instantly compelling. This is not a coin whose significance requires years of specialized study, but one whose appeal is immediate and universal. For this reason, it remains one of the most celebrated and talked about rarities in American coinage. To own a 1944 D steel cent is to hold history in the palm of your hand, a coin born of accident, preserved by chance, and celebrated as one of the most remarkable survivors of America's wartime minting era. It is a living symbol of resilience, rarity, and the incredible unpredictability of coinage, and it rightfully commands a place among the most valuable Lincoln cents ever produced. Next up, the 1926 S Lincoln Wheat Cent is a coin that epitomizes the delicate balance between rarity, grade, and collector demand. At first mention, the year 1926 may not ring with the same instant drama as the famous key dates of the Lincoln series. But once the S mint mark enters the equation, connoisseurs of American numismatics instantly take notice. Struck at the San Francisco Mint during a period of fluctuating economic stability in the Roaring '20s, this cent holds a unique place in the Lincoln Wheat Penny series because of its deceptively modest mintage and its notorious scarcity in higher grades. While over 4.5 million were struck, a number that might seem plentiful at first glance, the reality is that very few were saved in pristine condition. The coins that did circulate often endured heavy wear, with San Francisco Mint issues of this era being particularly susceptible to weak strikes, uneven details, and rough handling. The design itself is, of course, the classic Victor David Brenner portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, paired with the iconic wheat ears framing 1 cent on the reverse. Yet the 1926S often appears lackluster when compared to its Philadelphia and Denver counterparts of the same year, making fully sharp, well-struck examples something of a unicorn. Collectors who pursue this date quickly discover that finding a coin in mint state is not just a matter of patience. It is a matter of rarity, bordering on impossibility. Population reports from grading services like PCGS and NGC tell a sobering story. Only a handful of examples are certified in the highest mint state red, RD, designations, and those few command enormous premiums when they appear at auction. The market has responded accordingly. In lower circulated grades, the coin is a moderately priced semi-key, sought after by collectors striving to complete Lincoln Cent albums. But in higher grades, especially those with full red luster, the 1926S transcends its humble origins and enters the realm of elite numismatic treasures. Bidders recognize the challenge and compete fiercely, often driving auction prices to six-figure levels. The finest known examples have soared to valuations near $180,000, a staggering figure for a cent that, in everyday condition, might be overlooked by casual observers. The allure of the 1926S lies not only in its condition rarity but also in the narrative it embodies. This is a coin from the twilight years of the San Francisco Mint's struggles with quality control, a coin that reminds us that the artistry of minting is not uniform across time or place. It tells a story of scarcity that is not driven purely by mintage numbers but by the survival of quality specimens. For the advanced collector, it represents both a challenge and a triumph, a piece that validates years of searching and an achievement that sets one's collection apart. In the broader tapestry of Lincoln wheat cents, the 1926S is not simply a coin to be owned. It is a benchmark of numismatic dedication, a prize that rewards persistence with beauty, rarity, and exceptional market prestige. Next up, the 1914S Lincoln wheat cent occupies a revered and formidable position within the early Lincoln Cent series, and its mystique has only grown with time. Struck in San Francisco during the second decade of the Lincoln design's existence, this cent stands apart for its combination of low mintage, historical context, and enduring scarcity in collectible grades. With just over 4 million pieces struck, the 1914S immediately sets itself apart from the massive mintages of later decades, making it a true semi-key date that collectors recognize as a cornerstone of the series. Its story is one of survival against the odds, a coin that circulated heavily on the West Coast, where cents were less frequently saved than silver or gold pieces, and where few collectors at the time had the foresight to preserve pristine examples. Visually, the coin carries all the hallmarks of early 20th century San Francisco minting, with strikes that often appear soft and subdued, particularly in Lincoln's beard, and the wheat ears on the reverse. This characteristic weakness has become part of the coin's identity, making sharply struck examples all the more coveted. Over the decades, countless circulated pieces found their way into penny jars, change purses, and the hands of everyday Americans, but virtually none survived, untouched in the vibrant red, mint state condition that modern collectors prize. The result is a coin whose demand far outpaces its supply, particularly at the upper end of the grading spectrum. Market performance for the 1914S has been consistently strong, reflecting its reputation as one of the must-have coins for any complete Lincoln Cent collection. In lower circulated grades, it carries a premium that signals its importance, but in higher uncirculated conditions, it transforms into a powerhouse rarity. Grading populations reveal just how elusive it is. Red examples graded MS65 or higher are virtually unobtainable, and when they appear, they ignite intense bidding wars. One such coin has been valued at an astonishing $275,000, underscoring just how far collectors will go to secure an example of this semi-key date in premium preservation. Yet beyond the numbers and the grades lies the intangible appeal of the 1914s. It is a coin from an era when Lincoln's image on a circulating coin was still new and controversial, a time when the United States was grappling with rapid industrialization, social change, and its growing role on the global stage. To hold a 1914s wheat cent is to hold a tangible connection to a century-old America, an artifact that carries the weight of history in its worn copper surface. Collectors who secure one feel not just the satisfaction of acquisition, but the thrill of owning a living piece of numismatic heritage. In the grand hierarchy of Lincoln cents, the 1914s is indispensable. It may not carry the mythical aura of the 1909s, VDB, or the dramatic flair of the 1955 double die, but its rarity, combined with its historical grounding and immense market value, make it a centerpiece of any advanced collection. It is a coin that represents commitment, patience, and discernment. A coin whose presence instantly elevates a collection from ordinary to extraordinary. For those who understand its significance, the 1914s is not just another copper cent. It is an enduring treasure, a marker of achievement, and a symbol of the timeless pursuit of rarity. Next up, the 1958 Lincoln wheat cent is one of those coins that takes the numismatic imagination and launches it far beyond the ordinary. To most collectors, 1958 represents the final year of the beloved wheat ear reverse. Designed before the Lincoln Memorial cent took its place in 1959, marking a major transition in American coinage. Billions of ordinary cents were struck that year in Philadelphia, with the Denver Mint also contributing to an enormous mintage. These coins were intended to be plentiful and unremarkable, the kind of copper pieces that rattled in school children's pockets, jingled in payphones, and disappeared into piggy banks across America. But hidden within that ocean of common coins is an almost mythical rarity that stands alone as one of the greatest Lincoln cent treasures of the 20th century, the 1958 double die obverse. Unlike minor varieties that require magnification, the 1958 double die is dramatic and undeniable. The inscriptions on the obverse, most notably Liberty and In God We Trust, display bold, distinct doubling that leaps off the surface. This doubling was not intentional but rather the result of a misaligned hubbing process, where the working die received multiple impressions slightly off register. These coins, struck with such a defective die, were a mere handful, and the mint corrected the mistake almost immediately. Only 3 authenticated specimens are known to exist today, making this coin rarer than even the famous 1909s, VDB, or the 1914D. Its extreme rarity, coupled with its undeniable visual drama, has propelled the 1958 double die into the stratosphere of coin collecting. Collectors recognize it not simply as a variety, but as a once-in-a-generation rarity that sits comfortably among the greatest American era coins ever produced. Auction records reveal just how much power this coin commands. When an example surfaces, the numismatic world holds its breath. The rarity is so profound that entire collecting communities turn their eyes toward the event. One of these elusive cents has achieved a staggering valuation of $420,000, and experts predict that future appearances could drive the number even higher as collectors with deep pockets compete for the chance to own one of the most extraordinary coins in American history. The 1958 double die is also symbolic. It represents the end of the wheat cent era, a dramatic final note in a design series that had lasted nearly half a century. For collectors, it carries not only rarity and beauty, but also narrative resonance. The last gasp of a design beloved by generations, marked forever by a rare and spectacular era. It is, in every sense, a crown jewel for those fortunate enough to own it. And for the numismatic community at large, it serves as a reminder that even in the modern minting era, treasures of unimaginable rarity can still emerge. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Cent takes us into a completely different realm of rarity, one rooted in wartime, necessity, minting mistakes, and a fascinating twist of history. To understand the 1944 we must look back to 1943, when the U.S. Mint, under pressure from the demands of World War II, shifted production of cents from copper to zinc-coated steel. The logic was simple. Copper was vital for ammunition, wiring, and other wartime needs. The steel cent served its purpose, but it was unpopular. It rusted, corroded, and confused the public, who often mistook it for a dime. By 1944, the mint returned to copper coinage, using recycled brass shell casings from the war effort, and billions of traditional bronze cents were struck. But in the chaos of wartime production, errors crept in. Somehow, leftover steel, planchets from 1943, found their way into the presses at the San Francisco Mint in 1944, where they were struck with that year's dies. The result was the legendary 1944 steel wheat cent, a coin so rare that only a handful of authenticated examples exist today. Its appearance is instantly striking. Unlike the warm reddish-brown tones of ordinary bronze 1944 cents, the 1944 steel cent is silvery gray, magnetic, and an unmistakable anomaly. This is not a coin that requires a trained eye to appreciate. Its rarity and uniqueness are visible at first glance. What makes the 1944 steel cent so captivating is the intersection of history and accident. These coins were never meant to exist. They are the direct result of transitional errors, tiny oversights during one of the most demanding minting periods in American history. Their rarity is magnified by the fact that steel cents were already a one-year experiment, and to find a 1944 example struck in steel is like finding lightning in a bottle. Collectors and historians alike see in this coin a physical reminder of America's wartime sacrifices and the extraordinary demands placed on the mint during those years. The market has responded to the 1944 steel cent with extraordinary reverence. Each known specimen is a trophy piece, carefully documented and fiercely contested whenever it appears at auction. The values these coins command are astronomical. One of the finest known examples has been valued at $1,000, making it one of the most expensive Lincoln cents in existence. Collectors recognize that opportunities to acquire this coin are virtually non-existent, as the known examples are tightly held and rarely change hands. When they do, they ignite a frenzy that captures headlines and underscores just how powerful the combination of rarity and historical significance can be. Beyond its financial value, the 1944 steel cent is a touchstone of numismatic storytelling. It embodies the unpredictability of minting, the pressures of history, and the idea that accidents can sometimes produce the greatest treasures. For the advanced collector, it represents the ultimate achievement, a coin so rare that its very existence seems improbable, yet so powerful that its legend endures across generations. It is not merely a cent struck in the wrong metal, it is a million-dollar rarity that connects us directly to the challenges, ingenuity, and imperfections of the wartime era. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln Wheat Cent is one of those coins that stands at the very pinnacle of American numismatics, combining historical drama, minting error, and ultra-rarity in a way that few coins ever have. To understand its significance, we must step into the wartime America of the early 1940s. The United States was fully mobilized for World War II, and the nation's resources were directed with single-minded urgency toward the war effort. Copper, in particular, was indispensable for munitions, wiring, and industrial uses. In response, the U.S. Mint made the extraordinary decision to strike the 1-cent coin of 1943, not in copper, but in zinc-coated steel. Billions of these steel cents entered circulation, their silvery color setting them apart from every other. Lincoln wheat cent ever minted. But within this vast sea of steel, an error occurred that would ripple across numismatic history. Somehow, a tiny number of leftover copper planchets, intended for use in 1942, slipped into the coinage presses at the Denver Mint in 1943. These planchets were struck with the 1943 dies, producing cents that were bronze instead of steel. The result was one of the most spectacular and elusive error coins in American coinage, the 1943D bronze Lincoln wheat cent. Unlike the common steel issues, these coins gleam with the familiar reddish-brown hues of copper, instantly signaling to any trained eye that something extraordinary has taken place. The rarity of the 1943D bronze cent cannot be overstated. While similar 1943 copper cents were struck at Philadelphia and San Francisco, both of which are themselves incredibly rare, the Denver issue is the scarcest of them all. In fact, only a single authenticated specimen is known to exist today. This coin, discovered in circulation decades ago, has become a numismatic legend, a one-of-a-kind artifact that defines the very concept of a holy grail, collectible. Its market performance reflects this singular status. When it appeared at auction, it electrified the collecting community, with collectors, investors, and institutions all vying for the chance to acquire it. The coin achieved a breathtaking valuation of $950,000, firmly establishing itself as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold. Unlike coins with dozens or hundreds of survivors, the 1943D copper cent exists in a class of its own, where the concept of market price becomes almost meaningless, because when only one specimen is known, the true value is determined by the passions and resources of the bidders in the room. The appeal of the 1943D bronze cent extends beyond its rarity. It is a wartime relic, a tangible connection to the chaos and urgency of America's World War II home front. It is also a testament to the unpredictability of the minting process, a reminder that even in an era of mass production and strict controls, mistakes of monumental consequence can still occur. For collectors, it represents the ultimate prize, not just a coin, but a story, a piece of history, and a status symbol that elevates an entire collection. In the grand narrative of U.S. coinage, the 1943D bronze cent stands as both an accident and a masterpiece, a fluke that became a legend, and a 1-cent coin that carries nearly $1 million price tag. Next up, the 1909 Lincoln wheat cent holds a place of unparalleled honor in American numismatic history, not only as the coin that introduced Abraham Lincoln to U.S. coinage, but also as the first small denomination to break with classical motifs and embrace a truly modern design. Until 1909, U.S. coins were dominated by allegorical figures, liberty in her many forms, symbolic images of freedom and agriculture, and other neoclassical designs inspired by ancient Rome and Greece. But with the centennial of Lincoln's birth approaching in 1909, President Theodore Roosevelt and the U.S. Mint sought to break tradition by placing the image of a real American, one of the nation's most beloved presidents, on the cent. The task of designing this revolutionary coin fell to Victor David Brenner, a sculptor whose admiration for Lincoln was well known. His obverse portrait of Lincoln, simple yet powerful, became an icon instantly recognizable to generations of Americans. The reverse design, featuring 2 wheat stalks framing the denomination, gave the coin its nickname, the wheat cent, and served as a symbol of agricultural abundance and national strength. When the coin debuted on August 2, 1909, it caused an immediate sensation. Lines of eager citizens formed outside banks and treasury offices to obtain the new cents, and the coin's popularity was nothing short of unprecedented. But within this historic debut lies a controversy that gave birth to one of the most famous rarities in American coinage, the 1909 VDB. Brenner had included his initials, VDB, prominently at the bottom of the reverse between the wheat stalks. Almost immediately, critics complained that the initials were too large and distracting. amounting to excessive self-promotion. The mint, bowing to public pressure, quickly ordered the initials removed. As a result, the 1909 cents were struck in two varieties, with the VDB initials and without them. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions of both, but the San Francisco Mint produced only a small number of the 1909's VDB, a coin that would become one of the greatest key dates in the Lincoln Cent series. Yet even among 1909 issues, there exists another layer of rarity that propels this coin to the top of the market. Superb gem quality survivors. The vast majority of 1909 wheat cents entered circulation, where they endured decades of handling. To find one today in pristine, full red mint state condition is a remarkable challenge. In fact, among the millions originally struck, only a tiny handful of flawless examples have survived. Preserved by sheer luck or foresight, these top-grade coins have ascended to the highest echelon of the market, where they are revered not simply as key date collectibles but as absolute masterpieces of preservation. The market has spoken with astonishing clarity. A 1909 Lincoln wheat cent in the finest known grade, blazing red, virtually untouched by time, and embodying the full artistry of Brenner's original design, has achieved a record valuation of $1.8 million. This figure underscores the coin's dual significance. It is both the historic beginning of a beloved series and, in its rarest forms, a multi-million-dollar treasure. Collectors recognize it as more than just a coin. It is a symbol of American numismatics itself, a bridge between tradition and modernity, between art and history, between the everyday penny and the pinnacle of collecting achievement. The 1909 cent embodies all the themes that define numismatics: history, artistry, rarity, controversy, and survival. To hold one is to touch the dawn of a new era in American coinage, to feel the excitement of its debut, and to connect with the legacy of Lincoln in copper. And for the rarest survivors, those flawless, million-dollar gems, ownership is nothing less than an entrance into the pantheon of collectors who hold the finest of the finest, a privilege reserved for only the most dedicated and fortunate. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln wheat cent represents one of the most fascinating chapters in U.S. coinage. History, a coin whose very existence is tied to the extraordinary pressures of wartime. America. In 1943, the nation was fully mobilized for World War II. Copper, a metal essential for ammunition, electrical wiring, and countless industrial applications, was in high demand. In response, the U.S. Mint made the bold decision to strike the 1-cent coin in zinc-coated steel rather than the traditional copper alloy. These steel cents were a visual departure from their predecessors, with a distinctive silvery gray appearance and a tendency to rust if exposed to moisture, a constant reminder of the sacrifices and compromises of wartime production. Yet, the story of the 1943 Lincoln wheat cent extends beyond the metal itself. While billions of steel cents were struck across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, a few copper cents from 1942 planchets mistakenly entered the coining presses, creating a series of extraordinary error coins, most notably the famous 1943 copper cents. However, the standard 1943 Lincoln wheat cent in steel remains highly coveted in uncirculated condition due to the unusual composition and the high survival rate of circulated, often corroded examples. Collectors prize the 1943 Lincoln steel cent not only for its historical significance but also for its unique aesthetic and condition rarity. Because steel rusts and corrodes easily, pristine, high-grade examples are exceedingly difficult to locate. Grading services confirm that only a fraction of surviving steel cents retain full mint state luster and detail, making them particularly valuable in the upper echelons of numismatic collections. These coins serve as tangible connections to the industrial ingenuity and domestic challenges of a nation at war. They are reminders of how global events directly influenced the smallest units of daily life, in this case, the humble penny, and elevated them into historical artifacts. Market valuations for high-grade 1943 steel cents reflect this unique appeal. Collectors recognize that these coins are not just pieces of metal but chronicles of an extraordinary period in U.S. history. Auction results have demonstrated their significance, with well-preserved specimens achieving prices as high as $660,000, a remarkable figure that underscores their status as one of the most desirable Lincoln cents of the modern era. Beyond monetary value, the coin's cultural and historical resonance makes it a centerpiece for any serious collection, symbolizing the intersection of numismatic artistry, era potential, and historical context in a way few coins can. Next up, the 1914 D. Lincoln Wheat Cent occupies a special place in the annals of numismatics, widely recognized as one of the quintessential key dates in the Lincoln Cent series. Struck at the Denver Mint during the early years of the Lincoln design, the 1914 D is notable both for its low mintage and for the intense demand it generates among collectors seeking to complete comprehensive wheat cent sets. In total, only 1.2 million of these coins were produced, making them scarce from the outset, particularly when compared to Philadelphia strikes of the same year. Their low survival rate in high grades only amplifies their rarity and desirability. From a design perspective, the 1914 D maintains the timeless Brenner portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with its fine lines, expressive facial features, and well-defined beard. The reverse, featuring two wheat ears framing the denomination, is simple yet elegant, reflecting the national ethos of growth, prosperity, and agricultural strength. However, as is common with early Denver issues, the strikes were often weak, particularly in the lower portions of Lincoln's face and in the detail of the wheat stalks. As a result, fully struck examples, especially in red or red-brown mint state condition, are extraordinarily rare and highly prized. The 1914 D is more than just a collector's target. It is a narrative of survival and historical significance. Coins from this period circulated heavily, and few were saved by contemporary collectors. Over the decades, wear and circulation drastically reduced the number of high-quality specimens that survived, creating a persistent gap between collector demand and available supply. This scarcity has cemented the 1914 D as a cornerstone of advanced Lincoln wheat cent collections. Market performance reflects the coin's elevated status. Auction records reveal that well-preserved examples can command staggering sums, with some reaching valuations as high as $340,000 in exceptional condition. Collectors seeking to acquire this semi-key date face intense competition, as the coin represents not only a critical piece of a complete wheat cent set, but also a tangible link to the Denver Mint's early 20th century output. Owning a 1914 D is therefore both a demonstration of numismatic expertise and a testament to the collector's dedication to assembling one of the most iconic series in American coinage history. Beyond its monetary value, the 1914 D resonates as a piece of cultural and historical heritage. It captures a moment in time when Lincoln's visage, only a few years into its introduction on coinage, was becoming embedded in the American consciousness. It serves as a bridge between the post-Civil War era and modern America, reminding collectors that coins are not merely currency, but stories in copper, histories in metal, and symbols of a nation's enduring identity. To hold a 1914 D Lincoln Wheat Cent is to hold a fragment of early 20th century America, an irreplaceable artifact whose rarity and elegance continue to captivate numismatists over a century later.